Welcome back to the Patronus pages. Today we will be doing a reading from our first original story, Shadows of the Unspeakable. I hope you enjoy. Chapter 1. In the quiet, dappled sunlight of an early July morning, Alex Mercer stood before the mirror in the modest bedroom of his childhood home, adjusting the crisp collar of his robe. The room, with its walls plastered in old Quidditch posters and shelves laden with Hogwarts textbooks, spoke of a youth steeped in the pursuit of magical knowledge and the dreams of someone who believed the world was brimming with mysteries just waiting to be unraveled. Today marked not just another day, but the first day of his career at the Ministry of Magic, in the Department of Mysteries, no less. With grades that had his professors whispering his name in the corridors long after he'd left their classrooms, expectations for his future were high, both from within and from those who had watched him grow. His reflection in the mirror offered back the image of a young man with jet black hair, barely out of Hogwarts, his dark hair a stark contrast to the pale, nervous excitement etched across his face. He straightened his robes once more, a futile attempt to calm the fluttering in his stomach, before grabbing his wand and tucking it securely in his belt. With a deep, steadying breath, he turned and descended the stairs, his mother's voice floating up to meet him, tinged with pride and the inevitable worry that clung to the words of any parent watching their child step into the wider world. The kitchen was warm, the air filled with the comforting scent of freshly brewed tea and scones. His mother stood at the stove, a gentle hum accompanying her movements. She turned as he entered, her smile wide and eyes glistening with unshed tears. "Alex, look at you, all ready for your first day," she said, enveloping him in a hug that spoke volumes of her love and the reluctance to let go. "I'll be fine, Mum," Alex reassured her, his voice steady despite the jitters dancing in his belly. "It's just the Department of Mysteries. How mysterious can it really be?" They shared a laugh, a moment of lightness that eased the weight of the day ahead. After breakfast, Alex stepped out into the brisk morning air, the familiar streets of his neighbourhood unspooling before him as he made his way to the ministry. The journey to the ministry was a familiar one, as he had visited his father at work on many occasions, yet it never failed to stir a sense of excitement within him. He merged with the flow of witches and wizards, each absorbed in their own thoughts and conversations, as they approached the nondescript red telephone box, the gateway to their extraordinary workplace. Dialing the number 62442, Alex felt the now familiar lurch as the booth descended into the earth, delivering him into the bustling atrium of the ministry. The grandeur of the atrium, with its gleaming marble floors and the majestic statue of magical brethren, stood as a testament to the power and prestige of the wizarding government. The air buzzed with the chatter of employees and the occasional flutter of memos whizzing overhead like a flock of exotic birds. Alex navigated through the throng with practiced ease, his ID badge he received via Owlpost over the summer, granting him unspoken passage through the security checkpoints. His destination lay beyond the well-trodden paths of the ministry's main corridors. The Department of Mysteries, a name that whispered promises of arcane knowledge and secrets veiled in shadow, had fueled his dreams and ambitions since he was a boy. He often found himself marvelling at the serendipitous twist of fate that had landed him the position within the Department of Mysteries. In truth, when he had sent off his application, it was with a heart half convinced of rejection, fully expecting to be drafting another application for a more mundane department within the ministry, before the ink on his first had even dried. As he approached the black door that marked its entrance, a shiver of anticipation ran down his spine. Upon reaching the entrance to the Department of Mysteries, he was greeted not by the warm welcome of eager colleagues, but by the stern face of his new boss, Mr. Carrow, a man whose reputation for harshness preceded him. Mr. Carrow's eyes seemed to bore into Alex, as if questioning his very worthiness to be there. "Mercer, is it? Heard you were top of your class. Don't think for a moment that means anything here," Carrow said, his voice sharp, cutting through the nervous excitement that had accompanied Alex to the door. "The Department of Mysteries cares little for academic accolades. Here, we value curiosity, courage, and above all, discretion. Fail in any, and you'll find yourself out of these doors faster than you can say, Expelliarmus." Swallowing the lump in his throat, Alex nodded, his determination stealing within him. He was here not merely by virtue of the grades, inscribed on parchment, but fueled by a relentless pursuit of knowledge, a fervent curiosity that thrummed through his veins with every beat of his heart. As they ventured deeper into the bowels of the department, a sense of awe wrapped itself around Alex. Here, within these ancient walls, lay the enigmas that had danced just beyond the reach of the brightest minds the wizarding world had ever known. The corridors through which they moved seemed to shift subtly, as if alive, each door whispering tantalizing hints of the arcane wonders and unspeakable horrors it concealed. Before they reached their ultimate destination, Mr. Carrow paused beside a nondescript wooden door, pushing it open to reveal an open room that buzzed with an undercurrent of magical energy. "This will be your workspace," he announced, gesturing towards a modest desk nestled among several others, with over a dozen wizards occupying their spaces, each cluttered with scrolls, books, and various magical instruments. With a nod of acknowledgement from one of the older male wizards working at a desk adjacent to his, whose smile offered Alex a silent promise of camaraderie, Mr. Carrow then gestured for Alex to follow him once more. They continued their journey through the labyrinthine department until at last they stood before a door that, while outwardly indistinguishable from the others, was suffused with a palpable, thrumming energy that made the hairs on the back of Alex's neck stand on end. Mr. Carrow's hand rested on the doorknob, and as he turned to face Alex, there was a subtle shift in his demeanour, the hardness in his eyes giving way to something that might have been construed as respect. "Your first assignment," he intoned, the edge in his voice now blunted, "concerns the Veil. It's been 25 years since the Battle of Hogwarts, and the wizarding world has seen great changes. Hermione Granger, once a hero of that battle, now serves as our minister, guiding us with wisdom and strength. But some mysteries, like the Veil, remain untouched by time. It's your task to delve into its secrets, to uncover what lies beyond the whispers of the dead." With that, he pushed the door open, revealing a room shrouded in shadows, at the centre of which stood the Veil, its tattered edges fluttering as if caught in a breeze that touched no other part of the room. Alex stepped forward, drawn to the artifact that had claimed the lives of many, including Sirius Black, a name etched in the annals of history for his bravery and tragic end, a name that had also found its way onto numerous history examinations during his years at Hogwarts. As Mr. Carrow left him with a curt nod, Alex approached the Veil, his heart pounding in his chest. This was it, the beginning of a journey into the unknown, a journey that would test his mettle and challenge the very foundations of his understanding of magic. And so, with the Veil whispering secrets in a language only the dead could understand, Alex Mercer began his career in the Department of Mysteries, unaware of the trials and wonders that awaited him in the shadows of the unspeakable. The following morning dawned clear and bright, a stark contrast to the whirlwind of emotions Alex had experienced on his first day. With the Veil's whispers still echoing in his mind, he made his way back to the Ministry, determined to peel back the layers of its mystery. The Department of Mysteries felt less daunting today, its corridors no longer a labyrinth designed to confound, but a challenge waiting to be met. Arriving at his desk, Alex found the quiet hum of the department soothing. His co-workers, engrossed in their own enigmatic tasks, paid him little mind, save for a few curious glances. It was then he noticed a new face across the room, a young woman whose gaze met his with an equal mix of apprehension and excitement. Her short brown hair framed a delicate face that radiated youth and intelligence, and when she smiled, it seemed to light up the dimly lit corners of the room. Her name was Lena, another recent Hogwarts graduate who had joined the department on the same day as him. Her pretty features were underscored by sparkling hazel eyes that held a depth of curiosity and warmth, instantly drawing Alex's attention. She was quite short, giving her a youthful appearance that belied her sharp mind and the potential that had also landed her a coveted position in the Department of Mysteries. "Morning," Alex greeted, his voice breaking the silence between them. "First day jitters settled down yet?" Lena chuckled, a light, airy sound that eased the tension in the air. "Somewhat. until I remember where we are, and then it's all butterflies again. You? Same, Alex admitted. I started on the Veil yesterday. It's a lot. Lena's eyes widened with interest. The Veil? That's heavy stuff for a first assignment. How do you even begin to approach something like that? Alex shrugged, the weight of the task settling on his shoulders. That's the million-galleon question, isn't it? I was hoping to dive into some research. Maybe talk to someone who's had first-hand experience with it. That sounds like a solid plan. Lena nodded. Maybe you should talk to someone more seasoned here. They could point you in the right direction. Heeding Lena's sage advice, Alex dedicated his morning to the pursuit of wisdom from a more seasoned mind within the enigmatic halls of the Department of Mysteries. His quest led him to Marcus Flint, a figure whose very name evoked an era of the department's history that was rich in both mystery and intrigue. Flint, with his imposing stature and a countenance carved from years of navigating the labyrinthine secrets of their world, was a relic of a bygone era, a grizzled veteran whose eyes had beheld wonders and horrors in equal measure, etching lines of thought and concern deep into his visage. The Department of Mysteries, with its shadowed corners and whispering walls, seemed to hush as Alex approached Flint. The air was thick with the scent of dust and the faint, indefinable aroma of magic, long studied but never fully understood. Amidst this backdrop of arcane knowledge and the palpable weight of the unknown, Flint appeared as a steadfast sentinel, his presence as commanding as the ancient tomes that surrounded them. As Alex laid bare the nature of his assignment, Flint's gaze upon him was piercing, his eyes narrowing not in skepticism, but in a thoughtful, calculating manner. It was as if those eyes were sifting through decades of memories and experiences, searching for the kernel of wisdom that might aid Alex in his quest. "You're thinking of approaching this from a personal experience angle," Flint mused, his voice a deep timbre that seemed to resonate with the very stones of the ministry. His hand, weathered and strong, stroked his chin, a contemplative gesture from a man who had spent a lifetime pondering mysteries that would drive lesser minds to despair. "Not a bad idea at all. You might want to try talking to Harry Potter. He's had a, let's say, unique encounter with the Veil." The mention of Harry Potter stirred the air like a whispered incantation, evoking an aura of bravery, sacrifice, and the heavy mantle of a legacy that few could bear. As the head of the Department of Magical Law Enforcement, Potter was not only a man ensconced in duty but also a living legend, his every action watched by both admirers and critics alike. Alex, in fact, took a whole course dedicated to Harry's efforts in the Second Wizarding War in his third year at Hogwarts. "How would someone even go about talking to Mr. Potter?" Alex replied, his determination stealing within him. The prospect of engaging with Potter added a new layer of complexity to his task, yet the potential insights were too valuable to ignore. He didn't realize anyone had a unique encounter with the Veil, other than simply seeing it sway in its room. "Start with his secretary, but be warned," Flint added, his tone imbued with the gravity of his years. "Potter's a difficult man to pin down, and he might not be keen on dredging up the past." His words carried the weight of caution, a reminder of the intricate dance of politics and personal histories that Alex would have to navigate in his quest for understanding. In the dim light of the Department of Mysteries, with the secrets of the universe humming softly around them, Alex felt the full weight of his mission. Flint's advice was a beacon, guiding him through the murky waters of magical research and the complexities of dealing with figures as monumental as Harry Potter. Later that day, and armed with this new direction, Alex sought out Harry Potter's secretary, a no-nonsense witch who regarded him with a skeptical eye as he made his request. Finding Harry Potter's secretary turned out to be an odyssey in itself. The Department of Magical Law Enforcement was a hive of activity, with auras bustling about and officials deep in conversation. Each inquiry about the secretary's whereabouts led Alex on a winding path through the department, until he finally found her office tucked away in a quiet corner, its door slightly ajar. Knocking tentatively, Alex entered to find the secretary, a middle-aged witch with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense bun, peering at him over a mountain of paperwork. "Can I help you?" she asked, her tones suggesting she had 1,000 other things she'd rather be doing. "Yes, I'm Alex from the Department of Mysteries. I was hoping to speak with Mr. Potter about the veil," he began, trying to sound more confident than he felt. The secretary's response was an unexpected laugh, rich and hearty. "The veil. They put you on that, and you're what, fresh out of Hogwarts?" She shook her head, amusement twinkling in her eyes. "That's almost cruel. People have been researching the veil for years and come up with naught. Sounds like they're hazing the new recruit." Alex felt a flush of embarrassment, but stood his ground. "Maybe so, but I still believe there might be something new to discover. I was hoping Mr. Potter could provide some insight based on his experiences." Still chuckling, the secretary leaned back in her chair, appraising Alex with a newfound respect. "You've got spirit. I'll give you that. All right, I'll pass along your request, but don't hold your breath. Harry's a busy man, and the veil, well, it's not something he's fond of revisiting." "Thank you," Alex replied, grateful for the chance, however slim. "I understand it's a long shot, but any help would be appreciated." The secretary's laughter softened to a smile, a glimmer of sympathy in her gaze. "I'll let you know if he can meet, but lad, don't let this task consume you. Many have tried, and all it's done is chase them in circles. The veil's a mystery that likes being a mystery." As Alex stepped out of the office, the weight of her words settled over him. Was his assignment a fool's errand, a test of his resolve, or perhaps a bit of both? Nonetheless, the possibility of discovering something, anything about the veil, propelled him forward. If magic was about finding the light in the darkest of places, then this was a challenge he was willing to accept, hazing or not. A week had slipped by like sand through Alex's fingers, each day a mirror of the last, filled with fruitless research and the echoing silence from Harry Potter's office. The morning commute to the ministry had become a time for reflection, a momentary pause in the whirlwind of his new career. Today, as he navigated the crowded streets of London towards the concealed entrance for ministry employees, Alex's thoughts churned with frustration and doubt. Why haven't I heard back from Potter's secretary? He mulled over the possibility of approaching his boss about the seemingly impossible task he'd been given, but the thought of admitting defeat so early on gnawed at his pride. "No, I can't show weakness now, not when I've barely started." Determined to make one last attempt, Alex made his way to the Department of Magical Law Enforcement as soon as he arrived at the ministry. The secretary greeted him with a look that preemptively softened the blow of her words. "Mr. Potter has been informed of your request," she said, not unkindly. "He's not interested in meeting, I'm sorry, but it seems there's little more to be done." The finality of her words left Alex adrift in a sea of disappointment. With heavy steps, he returned to his desk, the mystery of the veil looming larger and more impenetrable than ever. It was Lena who broke through his reverie later that day, her presence a welcome distraction from his spiralling thoughts. "Hey, you've been staring at that same page for hours. Everything all right?" she asked, concern etched in her youthful features. Alex managed a half-hearted smile. "Just hit a bit of a dead end with the veil. Potter's not interested in talking." Lena's brows knitted in sympathy. "That's rough, but hey, maybe you need a break from all this. Fancy grabbing a butterbeer after work? My treat." Grateful for the offer, Alex nodded. "Yeah, that sounds great, actually. Thanks, Lena." Later that day, the leaky cauldron was bustling with the usual evening crowd when they arrived, the air filled with laughter and the clinking of glasses. Over butterbeers, Lena listened as Alex vented his frustrations, her eyes sparkling with empathy and mischief in equal measure. "You know," she began, a sly grin spreading across her face, "if it's Potter you're after, maybe you're going about it the wrong way. Why wait for him to come to you when you can go to him?" Alex looked at her, puzzled. "I've tried. His secretary made it clear." "No, not like that," Lena interrupted, her grin widening. "I mean, literally bump into him. I know where he gets his coffee every morning. If you're there, just accidentally run into him. It's harder to say no to someone's face, especially over a cup of coffee." The audacity of the plan took Alex by surprise, but as he considered it, the idea didn't seem so far-fetched. It was bold, certainly, and not without its risks, but what did he have to lose? "All right," he said, a newfound determination lighting his eyes. "I'll do it. Where do I go?" Lena's smile was all the answer he needed. "Leave that to me. I'll give you all the details. Just be your charming self, and you can't go wrong." As they continued their conversation, the weight of his task seemed to lighten. Lena's suggestion was a gambit, but in the world of magic, sometimes it was the most unexpected spells that proved the most effective. Tomorrow, Alex would take his chance, stepping out from the shadows of the Department of Mysteries and into the light of a new possibility. Alex chuckled, swirling his butterbeer in its mug. "You know, it's funny we never really crossed paths at Hogwarts, considering we were there at the same time." Lena nodded, taking a sip of her own drink. "I know, right? Hogwarts is big, but not that big. I guess we just moved in different circles. You were always a bit of a legend, though." "A legend?" Alex raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "Yeah, you know, Alex Mercer, the guy who always seemed to have a pretty girl on his arm, like that Ravenclaw Elise, was it?" Lena teased, a playful glint in her eye. Alex laughed, a hint of red tinting his cheeks. "Elise, yeah, that was a lifetime ago. I wouldn't say I was a player, though. Just social." "Social," Lena repeated, her laughter mingling with his. "All right, Mr. Social, enough about your illustrious dating history. What about your home life? What's your family like?" He appreciated the change of topic. "Well, I'm an only child. My parents both work at the ministry. Growing up, there was always this expectation for me to follow in their footsteps. I guess working at the ministry is sort of the only thing I've ever even considered after Hogwarts. What about you? What's your family like?" Lena's smile softened. "I come from a big family, 3 sisters and 2 brothers. It's always been chaotic, but I wouldn't change it for the world. My parents run a small apothecary in Hogsmeade. They're not big on the idea of working for the ministry, but they're supportive of me being here. It's a different world from brewing potions and tending to a shop, but I like the challenge. And getting to work on something as fascinating as the Veil, even if it's from the sidelines, is pretty exciting." Their conversation flowed effortlessly, the initial layers of co-worker formality peeling away to reveal the genuine connection beneath. As they shared stories of their Hogwarts days and family life, Alex realized how rare it was to find someone with whom he could be so open and unguarded. Lena wasn't just a colleague, she was quickly becoming a friend. The soft morning light filtered through the curtains of Alex Mercer's bedroom, signaling the start of a new day. With a sense of purpose renewed by his conversation with Lena the night before, Alex prepared for the day ahead, his thoughts oscillating between anticipation and apprehension. Downstairs, the familiar aroma of freshly brewed coffee and the low hum of the Morning Prophet being read greeted him. His father, Michael Mercer, a seasoned official in the Department of International Magical Cooperation, looked up from his paper as Alex entered the kitchen. "Morning, Alex. How's everything at the Department of Mysteries?" he asked, his tone casual but eyes sharp with interest. "Morning, Dad. It's challenging," Alex replied, pouring himself a cup of coffee. "Mr. Carrow doesn't exactly make things easy for the new recruits." Michael nodded, setting his paper aside. "Aye. I've heard stories about Carrow, tough as they come, if you ever need me to have a word." "No, thanks, Dad. I need to handle this on my own," Alex interjected, a determined set to his jaw. "I appreciate it, though." Conversation shifted to lighter topics as they finished breakfast. With a final gulp of coffee, Alex set off for the day, the weight of his task not quite as burdensome with his father's unspoken support buoying his spirits. The commute to the ministry was as routine as a Quidditch match on a clear day, a seamless blend of Flu Network swirls and the bustling magic of Diagon Alley. Today's journey, however, veered off its usual course, thanks to Lena's tip about a peculiar coffee shop. Dubbed the Wand and Bean, this quaint little establishment nestled between a potion ingredient store and a second-hand robe shop, offered more than just a morning caffeine fix for the weary wizard or witch. As Alex approached, the aroma of freshly brewed potions, no coffee, wafted through the air, enticing all who passed by. The Wand and Bean boasted a charming facade, with a sign featuring a wand stirring a coffee cup, enchanting the liquid within. Inside, the decor was a cosy blend of magical and mundane. Bewitched cups filled themselves with steaming coffee, while enchanted pastries levitated towards those who ordered them. The walls were lined with shelves, housing ancient potion books and modern Muggle novels alike, inviting patrons to linger over their drinks. Positioned strategically near the cafe's entrance, Alex's eyes darted between every entrant, hoping for a glimpse of the elusive Harry Potter. He couldn't help but marvel at the interior's clever design, where the wizarding world's rustic charm met the Muggle world's cafe culture in a harmonious blend. Time ticked away, and with no sign of the department head amidst the cafe's patrons, who ranged from robed wizards discussing the latest Quidditch scores to young witches poring over spellbooks, Alex reluctantly abandoned his post. Disappointment was a bitter companion as he made his way to work, the unique allure of the wand and bean lingering in his mind like the aftertaste of a strong espresso. Upon arrival, he sought out Lena, the anticipation of sharing his attempt, albeit unsuccessful, evident in his brisk pace. "I tried the coffee shop," he confessed. "No luck. I must have missed him." Lena's face fell in sympathy. "Sorry to hear that, Alex, but it was worth a shot, right? Don't worry, we'll think of something else." The remainder of Alex's morning unfolded within the solemn silence of the ministry's library, his hands tirelessly turning the pages of one ancient tome after another. Each book promised its own interpretation of the veil, yet not one illuminated a path forward for his inquiry. With each fruitless flip, Alex's frustration burgeoned like a potion left too long on the boil. Resolved to confront the mystery head-on, he shifted his base of operations to the chamber that cradled the enigmatic veil itself. There, in a secluded alcove shadowed from the rest of the room, Alex laid out his collected volumes in a semicircle around him, resembling a council of wise but silent elders. Despite the proximity to the veil, the answers he sought seemed as distant as ever, the books before him offering scant wisdom on the subject. The whispers from the veil hung in the air, an ever-present yet indecipherable murmuring, leaving Alex ensnared in a web of speculation and ancient lore with no clear thread to guide him through. As the day waned, with the veil's whispers weaving a relentless backdrop to his futile research, the solemn silence of the chamber was abruptly pierced by the unmistakable sound of footsteps. Alex's focus was shattered as Mr. Carrow, his supervisor, emerged into the dim light of the room, casting a long shadow that seemed to blend with the darkness enveloping the veil. Mr. Carrow, with his stern demeanour and an air of impatience that seemed to precede him, was not known for his kindness or patience. "Still trying to unlock the veil's mysteries, I see," Mr. Carrow remarked, his voice carrying a tone of scepticism mixed with a hint of disdain. "How is your progress, Alex? Anything worthwhile to report, or has this been yet another day spent chasing shadows?" Alex felt a knot tighten in his stomach. The expectation in Mr. Carrow's eyes was clear, yet how could he admit that his progress was negligible at best? Before Alex could muster a response, Mr. Carrow continued, his words slicing through the heavy air. "You're aware, I presume, that your tenure on this project hinges on tangible results. The Council of the Unspeakable expects a presentation of your findings, or lack thereof, soon. They will decide whether your research warrants further exploration or if your talents are better suited elsewhere." The gravity of Mr. Carrow's words hung between them, a reminder of the precariousness of Alex's position. The prospect of presenting to the council was daunting. Their decision could alter the course of his career within the ministry. As Mr. Carrow turned to leave, his departure as abrupt as his arrival, the chamber seemed to swallow the echoes of his footsteps, leaving Alex alone once again with the veil and his thoughts. The weight of the task at hand felt heavier now, each whisper from the veil a reminder of the challenge he faced. As Mr. Carrow's steps receded into the distance, leaving behind a chilling silence that seemed to resonate with the sombre atmosphere of the chamber, Alex found himself lost in a contemplative quietude. The weight of his impending presentation to the Council of the Unspeakable loomed heavy, a daunting shadow over his resolve. In this moment of solitude, as if drawn by his deep yearning for answers, the veil stirred. A hissing whisper, clearer than any before, cut through the silence. "Is it answers you seek?" The voice, ethereal, seemed to speak directly to him, its sudden clarity a stark contrast to the background murmur he had grown so accustomed to. This tantalizing hint of knowledge hung in the air, its abrupt cessation leaving a palpable void. It was precisely at that time, in the wake of this cryptic communication, that Lena appeared in the doorway. Her silhouette was a soft beacon in the dim light of the hall, a stark contrast to the eerie chamber's shadows. "Still at it, huh? You're going to wear yourself out at this rate," she said, her voice a gentle intrusion into the moment's mystery. Alex, momentarily anchored by her presence, turned towards her, the whisper's echo still reverberating in his mind. "Did you hear that?" he asked, a note of urgency in his voice, searching her expression for any sign of recognition. Lena, pausing, gave him a puzzled look. "Hear what? Alex, there was nothing. Are you okay?" Her response, a blend of concern and confusion, only deepened his bewilderment. The voice had been so clear, so distinct. How could she not have heard it? "You're probably just tired, Alex. You've been at this for too long," Lena suggested with a sympathetic smile, her rationale not quite dispelling the shiver of doubt that traced his spine. "Listen, we're both off tomorrow. How about a picnic in the park? A bit of fresh air might do you some good." Alex nodded, the rational part of his mind conceding to the possibility of fatigue-induced hallucinations. Yet, as he agreed to Lena's suggestion of a day in the park, a part of him couldn't shake the feeling that the veil had indeed spoken to him, and him alone. "That sounds perfect, Lena. I'd like that," he managed, the promise of a day away from the chamber's confining walls, offering a temporary respite from his troubles. As they parted ways, the prospect of a day spent outside the ministry's gloomy corridors, away from the veil's haunting whispers, seemed like a beacon of hope. Maybe the answers Alex sought weren't hidden in ancient texts or whispered by unseen forces, but lay in the simple act of stepping away, if only for a moment, to find clarity in the light of day and the company of a friend. The morning in the Mercer household began with the comforting ritual of coffee and conversation. Alex, seated at the kitchen table, cradled a warm mug between his hands as his mother, Elizabeth, moved about with the grace that had always been her hallmark. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled the room, mingling with the scent of the garden just beyond the window. "What's on the agenda for your day off?" Elizabeth inquired, her tone casual but laced with a hint of curiosity as she placed a plate of toast beside his coffee. "I'm meeting Lena at the park," Alex replied, trying to sound nonchalant, though the mention of her name sent an inexplicable warmth spreading across his cheeks. Elizabeth caught the slight change in her son's demeanour and couldn't resist a playful jab. "A colleague, huh?" "Sounds an awful lot like a date," she teased, her eyes sparkling with mirth. The flush on Alex's cheeks deepened, a mix of embarrassment and mild irritation bubbling up. "Mum, we're just working together," he protested, albeit weakly, knowing full well his mother's penchant for teasing him about his social life. Their chosen spot for the day was Hampstead Heath, a verdant oasis in the heart of London, known for its rolling meadows and peaceful ponds. Lena had volunteered to bring the picnic, and Alex found himself eagerly anticipating the day ahead. As they settled under the ancient canopy of a sprawling oak, the conversation flowed effortlessly. Lena unveiled a spread of sandwiches, fruits and sweet pastries, each selection a testament to her thoughtful preparation. "Do you remember Professor Bin's history of magic lectures?" Lena chuckled, her voice tinged with nostalgia as she recalled their days at Hogwarts. "How could I forget?" Alex laughed. "I mastered the art of napping with my eyes open in his class." Their shared laughter echoed through the tranquil park, a reminder of the bond formed over countless shared experiences. "But I did enjoy charms," Alex admitted, "especially when Professor Greenfield took over. Her approach to magic was transformative." Lena nodded in agreement. "She was amazing, and when she became headmaster after McGonagall, the whole school felt it, a new era." Their conversation was a bridge between past and present, a series of shared memories that spanned their time at Hogwarts. It was in the midst of this that Lena excused herself to the public restroom nearby, leaving Alex alone with his thoughts and the remnants of their picnic. It was then that he noticed a tiny garden snake slithering across the blanket, its scales glistening in the sunlight. As he watched, fascinated, the snake turned towards him, hissing softly. To his utter astonishment, Alex found himself understanding the snake's complaints. "Too many humans here today?" it hissed, its tone conveying annoyance and a desire for solitude. Alex, his surprise rendering him momentarily speechless, managed to respond in kind, the words flowing from him in a sibilant whisper. "Sorry for the intrusion. We'll be gone soon." The snake eyed him for a moment longer before sliding away through the grass, leaving Alex to marvel at the unexpected exchange. He had just spoken parseltongue, a rare ability he never knew he possessed. When Lena returned, Alex couldn't contain his excitement. "Lena, you won't believe this. I just spoke to the snake in parseltongue." His eyes were alight with the thrill of discovery. Lena, eyebrows raised in skepticism, let out a laugh. "Right, and I just had tea with a centaur. Come on, Alex. Are you pulling my leg?" "No, I'm serious," Alex insisted, the earnestness in his voice catching her attention. "I actually understood it and spoke back. The snake was complaining about the crowd." Her laughter faded, replaced by a curious gleam. "You're not joking, are you?" she asked, studying his face for any sign of deceit. "I'm completely serious. I was just as shocked as you are now," Alex affirmed, still in disbelief over what had transpired. Lena's expression shifted from amusement to awe. "But I thought only dark wizards from 1,000 years ago could speak parseltongue. It's incredible, Alex." "Yeah, I thought the same, but it happened. It really happened," Alex said, his mind racing with the implications of his newfound ability. The conversation lingered in the air, a mix of wonder and disbelief shared between them, as they contemplated the historical significance and the rarity of Alex's gift. After a day filled with the unexpected, Alex arrived home, his mind still swirling with the day's revelations. The brisk evening air clung to him as he made his way up the front steps, the familiar sight of his family's home offering a comforting embrace after the day's astonishing events. Stepping inside, he took a moment to hang his coat in its usual spot, the routine action grounding him as he prepared to share his incredible discovery. "Can we talk in the kitchen?" Alex called out, his voice carrying a weight that immediately caught the attention of his parents. Curiosity piqued. They followed him, exchanging puzzled glances, wondering what could be so important. As they gathered around the kitchen table, Alex took a deep breath. "You're not going to believe this," he began, "but today I spoke to a snake. In parseltongue." His parents shared a look, the kind that questioned if they were the butt of an elaborate joke. His mother let out a chuckle, shaking her head. "Alex, really? If you wanted to practice your storytelling, you could have just said." "I'm serious," Alex insisted, his earnestness cutting through the laughter. The levity in the room faded as his parents saw the sincerity in his eyes. His father leaned back, a thoughtful frown creasing his brow. "You're not joking, are you?" When Alex shook his head, a mixture of disbelief and apprehension settled over the room. "I remember hearing rumours," his father finally said, his voice lower, "rumours of distant relatives decades ago who could do the same. We never gave it much credence, but—" His words trailed off, leaving an uneasy silence. The thought of having a parcel mouth in the family was both fascinating and unnerving. The rare ability, often associated with dark wizards in their world's history, suddenly felt too close to home. Alex's mother wrapped her arms around herself, as if the room had suddenly grown cold. "But that's remarkable, and a bit frightening, isn't it?" Her voice was a whisper, betraying a hint of fear at the unknown implications of her son's revelation. "Yeah, it's a lot to take in," Alex agreed, feeling a complex mix of pride and anxiety. "But it happened, and it's a part of me." The family sat in a thoughtful silence, the magnitude of Alex's discovery sinking in. The revelation that magic could still surprise them, that their own son was connected to a rare and ancient gift, was a stark reminder of the endless possibilities and mysteries that lay at the heart of their existence.